Hi, welcome to Fuel Your Mind TV, the television program brought to you from the Muscatine Community College campus. I'm Katie Watson, your host, and today my co-host is Anabelia Calderon Flores. And for those of you that are new to this season, maybe you don't know that Anabelia is more than just my co-host. She is also my roommate.
Roommate,
right.
Office mate, yes.
Office mate, okay,
mate.
office mate. She is my special friend, and if you've not been to campus for a while and you didn't tune in, I can't believe you wouldn't have tuned in to last episode, and it was all about Jim Elias. We have new digs.
All over.
All over. The Student Services Center is being remodeled. So if you've come to campus and you tried to get to Student Services, you got nowhere. So if you've not been if you've not been here for the last 15 years, you don't know that Merle Eney is not with us. And now Anabelia and I are in Merle Eney's office.
Merle Eney, and then it went from Merle Eney to, who was this, Mays, Paul Mays. People know the office by Mays.
Oh, that's
Paul Mays that's his office. We have now taken over. We're the bird feeders, the biology lab specialists.
People didn't know how Anabelia and I would get along in
they didn't think
cohabitating, but we get along fabulously. So, well, I'll have to tell a little story. We got in big trouble.
We did get in trouble.
We did, and Anabelia wasn't even there, so I had to take it all myself. So, and Karey, well, I'll tell you, Karey's with us. Karey is from the high school, but I'll introduce her later. She'll appreciate this story too, because she loves Jeff. Our president came in. Anabelia and I keep our office at a balmy 81. She's the only roommate I've ever had that is as cold-blooded as I am. So the rest of the campus is freezing cold all the time. So our office is 81. And I swear to God, we did not touch the thermostat.
No, we didn't. We don't mess with it. We just kind of hide it.
It's called Comfort Zone on the thing, and it was 81, and so we just left it there. Well, Jeff comes in one day. Anabelia wasn't there. She's at a conference. He comes in. He turned into Yosemite Sam right in front of me. He starts, like smoke could have come out of his ears. He's like, what? Why is it so hot in here? Hey! And it's cold everywhere else. So it's like you walk out of a freezer and it's like when you step off of a plane when you've gone to the tropics, is what it was like when you walked into our office. And it's like he hit the wall of heat and he's like, what are you doing? Why is it so hot in here? Where's the heater? And he starts huffing around and he's looking for the heater. And I'm like, Jeff, there's no heater. I swear, there's no heater. We don't have a heater on. And he's like, why is it so hot in here? And I am like, I don't know, it just is, and we love it. Leave it alone. He's like, you got a heater on. It's too hot in here. You're heating the place. You make me crazy. And he's like huffing around and his arms are like this. I'm like, we didn't do anything. And so he cranks down this thing that was on the wall that we didn't touch.
No, it said comfort level.
It said comfort level, and we were comfortable.
Yes, we were.
So before too long, Anabelia and I will be separated because we can't behave, apparently.
We obviously can't behave together.
So I called her. I'm like, we're in the biggest trouble. Jeff just came in. And so now we're at what, 74?
Well, it was 72 when we walk in, and it heats up to 74 by the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And we wear our sweaters pretty much the rest of the day.
So it feels good in here.
Yeah, it's quite warm, actually.
Yeah.
Nice lights.
So that's our story. We get along great. We room well together. We kind of answer each other's questions. It's kind of like being on this show.
Yeah, it's actually
we finish each other's sentences. It's all good.
Probably better than being on the show, to be honest with you. We don't have a camera in front of us, so that's much better for me.
Yeah, I forget about that, though. I kind of forget. I forget you people are here, actually, so I'll go on with my life. And any other news? We've got a lot of people here today.
We do. We have a full panel.
We have a full panel of guests, but the campus.
About campus. Yeah, the campus is full. Testers. I love the bridge program that we have for anybody struggling in math and wanting to boost their
explain that
scores.
A little bit, because that's fun. Karey will like that too. I'll just introduce Karey. Let's introduce Karey so that the camera can pan, because Karey
can actually give their input.
Karey is really excited about being on the show. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Anabelia, but I think Karey is a groundbreaker. Is she the first guest we've had from off campus?
Well, that we work so closely with. We had the Highway Patrol.
Oh, Jose Varela.
He was our first, so one other
Jose
off-campus.
Varela, who I love.
Correct. And now at least somebody that we have a lot of contact with pretty much on a daily basis when school's on.
Yeah, we love Karey. Karey Hawkins.
I love you. Yes.
Karey Hawkins. Karey Hawkins is here. She is a guidance counselor from Muscatine High School, one of 4 full-time
And then we have Elena Bobe that does 8th and 9th grade transition.
transition advisor. 4 full-time guidance counselors at Muscatine, and a very special guest, a student with us who is like a bridge student. She's who we're here to talk about today. Our topic today is Senior Year Plus, which is becoming the norm in most states. Iowa is not unique. I think sometimes people are somewhat shocked when they hear that we have so many high school students who take college courses, but it's really, I think, a smart move that we start looking at students as individuals instead of categorizing people as, oh, you're in high school, oh, you're in college, oh, we are looking at people by their abilities instead of their age, and I think that's smart, and that's what we're going to talk about. Do you want to introduce yourself? What's your name?
I'm Hailey Goss,
Hailey Goss is with us.
senior at the high school.
Very good.
That last year there, make it really an impact.
That's right,
job.
you're the leader this year. How exciting. So Annabelle, explain the Bridge program.
Well, what they're doing this week is if you had come in to register with us, I've been registering for the fall semester of 2011 since April. If you came in and your ACT scores or your Compass scores were just at that cutoff line where you're not yet ready for the college level class, or at least the scores are telling us that you're not, you can register or could have registered for this week-long program class here on our campus. I'm going to say 2 hours every morning this week. So for 1 week prior to school starting, get a refresher course in your math, and then test on Friday. They will all test to see where they place now. And usually that's what it means. I mean, when you leave high school and take the summer off, and then you come in and maybe you haven't taken your ACT test, and you come in and you take that Compass test, you're probably not really wanting to remember anything you did in high school from college or from your algebra classes, nor should you probably. You don't apply it, so it's hard to remember. So we are doing that refresher course to help you, to boost you into that next level of college level math.
And maybe it's been 2 years.
And maybe it's been more than that summer, yeah. So well, exactly, at the high school, they don't have to take a 4th level math, do they? It's not required?
It's not required for graduation, no. So will that be something that you offer before each semester now, or is it just a summer program?
Right now, it's just a summer, and it's our pilot year, so
Are there
hopefully.
some adults in there too, Annabelle?
You know, I don't remember. I know that those that I registered were still, just regular, typical college-age students, traditional college-age students, and there may have been, I just don't remember, and I haven't seen the list, so I don't know.
I could really see if you're an adult and you've been out.
Right.
That would be great.
Well, even, in the last 4 or 5 years that you've graduated, and you did really well in high school, you don't want to have to, and the thing to it is that you pay for developmental courses, is what we call them here on campus, and they're courses that are going to help you do better in the college level math class, but that's a lot to pay for when you just need a refresher. So.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think that was a smart move to develop that.
And I want to say we had 12 students, maybe 14, but out of our 3 campuses, Clinton, Scott, Muscatine, we had the most. Not to brag, but we did have the most.
We don't. We're not competitive at all around here, just so you know. Other new people on campus, I just saw them walk across. Our J1 students are here, which are our international students who come just for 1 year. They're not the students that I work with, which I feel like I always need to explain who these students are. They're students who are with CCID, which is Community Colleges for International Development. So they come for 1 year. They are in certificate programs. They do some work experience and college coursework while they're here. It's a specific program, and they're from all over. The countries are very diverse. A lot of Middle Eastern countries, but not all Middle Eastern. I haven't got to meet them yet.
No, I neither
but
have.
I did see them, and I know Jennifer picked them up from the airport, I believe on Sunday, because I was driving through the McDonald's drive-thru on the way to church, I believe. That's what I saw her. I think it was either Sunday or Saturday. Not that I drive through the McDonald's drive-thru every day, but maybe I do. I did see her driving through. So they came this weekend. And you said 10?
10 is what I heard from Jeremy this morning, and they have one who's still not here. So I'm assuming we'll have a total of 11.
Usually business and ag and computer and IT, people.
Yeah.
So they're here.
And I see we have actually teachers maybe. I see Mr. Cassini
Oh,
down the
Mr.
hallway.
Cassini. Rocky's here.
Rocky's here.
Watch out. Rocky's here. Rocky's in the house. So typically those are teachers getting their continuing ed here. It's full house today.
Right. And for anybody who doesn't realize it, we're really here all summer. I just ran into somebody this weekend that said, so when do you go back?
Okay, that leads me into a preview of what one of our shows is going to be. Because I know, I watched some of the shows on YouTube. Our shows are on YouTube, so you're going to be able to rewatch us, Karey. I know you're excited about that. And you're going to be able to let DJ watch it, because I know she wants her husband to get to watch her on TV. One of our upcoming shows is going to be things that push us over the edge, things that tick me off. Because I know, through watching the shows, it looks like somebody could feed me a dog poop and I'd go, oh, isn't that yummy? Because it just looks like I love everything. Everything here is so good. And people who know me know better. I don't like a lot of things. And that's one of...
You're in an office with her.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that tick me off. So just let me say I'm putting that on my list of the things that tick me off. Okay, that's a
quite entertaining, so make sure you tune in.
Yeah, we're going to get a little edgy on this show because you're going to start to see some of the things that, tune in. Okay, so let's talk about Senior Year Plus, because it's a good thing.
And what does that mean? What does Senior Year Plus mean?
What is Senior Year Plus, kind of in a nutshell?
It pretty much it gives an advantage to students in high school, which I know we don't want to peg them as where they're at, but high school students who have the ability to take college level courses can take college level courses in a number of formats really. Currently, or what we've done in the past is they either take them at their high school with an instructor that goes into the high school and teaches them, which we call some people know them as memo of agreements or concurrent enrollment courses, basically meaning that you're taking the same class you'd take here but in your high school. Or students will know this as PSEOs, which is post-secondary enrollment option. And what that means is the students come to our campus, to MCC, or they take the classes online. Same courses that any other traditional college student would take if they're at Muscatine Community College.
Do we only do this at Muscatine? Would be a question that maybe parents would have.
No, students here in Muscatine High, Durant High School, Wilton High School, Columbus Junction, L&M, and West Liberty, the area that I work with, as well as even a little across the river there at Rockridge. But and that's just because that's within our area, but many other high schools do work or do the same with their community college in their area.
And Senior Year Plus is what we call it in the state of Iowa. That's the state of Iowa legislative
name.
Right. Yeah. So we rename it. That's confusing.
Everything gets renamed under this program, I think. That's just like why it was memos. No, didn't concurrent.
It was a 2080.
2080.
Then it was a memo, and
Senior Year Plus must be catching on though, because I've heard that term used at ACT conferences and national and state counselor publications. So Senior Year Plus maybe
it came to
something
us
that's being used kind of nationwide, or
that would be nice.
Starting to.
It would be nice to have some standardization. And I know we're actually going for credentials that we don't have to, but we are, so that we are, I guess, we'll have additional standardization in our offerings, because you don't want it to be loose, I guess, in how you offer it. So Karey, maybe give us those rules. Most of the students or parents who would be watching this program would be Muscatine students.
Sure.
So kind of give us the rules of who can qualify to do Senior Year Plus.
Okay, in a post-secondary enrollment option situation where a student would come out to MCC to take a class or to take a class online, I'm actually the person who would sign off on their form, and they would register for the class with MCC. And then I would double check to make sure that they were first proficient in their ITEDs, being at the 41st percentile in their 4 core areas, math, English, science, and social studies. And then that they've either taken the class at the high school and passed it. In Hallie's case, did you take Intro to Psych?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So she had already taken our Intro to Psychology class at the high school, done well, and then took it at MCC, or that we don't offer the class. We have some students that will come to MCC and take art appreciation or music appreciation or one of their humanities classes, something that they can either use towards a degree at MCC or something that they plan to transfer as a gen ed elective somewhere else.
Okay.
That's the basic rule around post-secondary. Once they have my signature and their enrollment card, then they come out to MCC and the tuition and the textbook is taken care of as long as the student passes the class with a passing grade.
And then that's applied, that grade is the same at the high school and
Correct.
the college.
And
So we share that grading information.
Yes, so if she got an A in her Intro to Psych class, she would have an A on her MCC transcript as well as an A on her Muscatine High School transcript. It's indicated that it's a post-secondary class and then it comes back to the high school as an elective credit. So sometimes students are worried about maybe dropping an elective at the high school to take a class at MCC, but it's the same. They're still getting that elective credit. It's just coming from the college instead of from the high school. Yep.
And that's very true. Some students come in to see me and they say, well, it's not going to show up on my high school transcript. And it is.
It does. So it affects things like athletic eligibility, being a full-time student status, and all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things for students to take into consideration. And they're starting a college transcript. You know, if they're not confident in their ability to take the college class, then that's something that we have a discussion about before they enroll.
And these are juniors and seniors?
Juniors and seniors or sophomores who have been identified as a talented and gifted student.
How many classes? Students often ask us that. So I'll turn that question over to you. How many classes can they take with us?
They have to be. They can't be a full-time student at MCC while they're a full-time student at Muscatine High School. So as long as they take 23 or less credit hours per year, they can take as many classes as they want. And I've had a variety. I've had students take 1 a semester. I've had some students take 1 or 2 classes at the high school and then they spend the rest of their time at MCC. So it's really dependent on the student, but they can't take more than 23 credits a year, a calendar year.
And I think what people have to understand, and I think we do that at this size of institution. I think we do that. The point I'd like to get across is that we work with each individual student. Yeah, the legislation is an umbrella and the rules are a brush stroke, but that's not how we treat it. We talk to individual students.
Right.
So someone will call me, and it's been good this summer. I've not really had any instances this summer, and it helps that Annabilia and I are in the same office because we are hearing the same information. And I know people don't understand that we are also friends. So right. I know what Karey says, and I spend a day, at least one day, sometimes 2 days a month at the high school all day. So we start to hear each other's conversations and we pretty much know what each other will say or think. So when a parent, usually it's a parent, write that down for the next show, says things like, oh no, they told me at the high school that we can do this. And I go, that really doesn't sound like something Karey would say. I have Karey's personal cell phone number in my phone, so I have no problem, even in the summer, calling Karey when she's in Jamaica, which I did text her when she was in Jamaica. And she texted me back and said, well, I'm at the pool in Jamaica. Whatever. Well, can this student really do this? So it's really hard for a student, A, to pull one over on us, or B, to get by with something sneaky. We've got a pretty good system in place.
And it's not that it's not that we're trying to like cut them off on anything. It's the fact that we don't want them to be successful.
Right.
And like Karey said, it's going on the transcript.
And
it's not
usually
doing
they
them any
are
good.
hurting themselves when they try to be sneaky, like if they're trying to avoid a certain teacher at the high school, or if they're trying to avoid a rule, usually they're ending up hurting themselves.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to prevent. And it really, by working individually with each student, we can help them help themselves, and it works very well.
Well, and when it's a 3-person conversation or a 4-person conversation, sometimes you're both there, we can talk about the specifics of the class at MCC that the student might not necessarily know, that I don't necessarily know. I can talk about the student's strengths that they've demonstrated at the high school, but you might be able to tell us what's going to be required of the class, you know, how rigorous it is, the professor, how their personalities might match up, just so that we can find a good fit for the student, because that's the point, is helping them be successful, not trying to knock them down.
And I do see that. I mean, that when they come in, they may be a little frustrated initially, thinking, why did they make us come in? Why can't the counselor at the high school just help us do this?
Right.
Well, when they sit down with us and they listen to really what our side is, they walk out thinking, you know what, it was probably a great idea. We needed to hear this. The student needs to hear it right there with their parent, and it makes it for a better semester for the student and everybody involved.
And sometimes it is a better environment for them to come to the college. Sometimes it really is. The college environment is a better fit for them, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes they do need to go back and do the remedial course that you were trying to get them to do, and that was what they were trying to avoid or whatever. So it just really is an individual conversation that needs to happen between the student and one of us or the teacher or whatever. So even though Muscatine High School is a very large high school, with each student having a counselor, it has worked very well. So it's a big high school, but they get individual attention when they ask for it and when they want it. And those people who come in and say, well, I can't get into my counselor at the high school, I think, they're pretty good out there. If you make an appointment, I think you probably can get in. And, well, let's do this, and then we'll get the answer from Karey. And it usually does work out. So tell me, let's talk about your experience. What did you take with us, and how did it go? And
I took Changes and Choices last fall.
Okay. How was that?
It was good. It was a good introductory course to get, just to be in a college class and the work and everything.
That's a humanities class.
Yeah. It wasn't super hard or anything, so.
It's kind of learning how to.
Yeah.
It's all about you, really, isn't it? Your decisions.
Yeah.
That's a neat course.
And you're right, it is a good initial course to take as a first time.
Was
especially
that the
if
day
you're
class
kind
or
of
the
teetering
night
between
class?
some.
It was a night class.
The night class. How did you like taking a night class? Because students, that's unusual for a high school student. You're used to all day, and then you have to go to a night class. How was that?
I didn't like it that much. I think I would have rather taken it during the day, just because being at the high school all day and then having to go back out to the college and take another class. But it wasn't that bad.
Do you work?
Now I do, but I didn't then.
Are you in sports?
Sometimes makes for conflicts.
That's a lot.
But I do clarify, though, the night class typically, we have maybe 3 classes that we offer 2 nights a week, but usually they're all 1 night a week. So 1 night out of the week isn't as bad as doing every night out of the week. I mean, when you hear night classes, they think that class might be every day of the week, but it's just 1 usually. Unless you're doing a math or a science.
You missed a whole week.
Right.
Yeah.
There's the downfall to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Changes and Choices would be an example of one that we don't teach at the high school, and that's why we could pay for it through post-secondary. So what are you taking this fall?
U.S. History to 1877.
Okay.
During the day?
Our U.S. History.
Yes.
Okay. With Kaufman.
Yeah, I think.
I think if it's
sleep.
2, it's him. It'll be a good class.
You'll like it. You're not.
If you took it at night, you'd probably enjoy it just as much too. So it'll be a good class.
So you're taking the 1 class or more?
No, just that one.
Okay.
How did you enroll for the class? What did you do? What was your process?
I went and talked to Miss Hawkins. Just told her that I wanted to take a college class this fall, and she's like, all right, let's look at what you can take and how we can make it work.
Do you know where you're going to go in the fall?
No.
Undecided?
Yeah.
One of the things that Annabilia does, which I don't know if Karey even knows that Annabilia does this, we get a list of everyone who's done dual enrollment in the summer, Annabilia calls all of those people and asks them where they're going, if they've decided what they're doing with their college plans, if they've transferred their credits, if they need help doing that, if they're coming to MCC, if they've registered yet, and if they need help doing that. Wow. And she is our placement person, so if you are undecided at that point, then she helps you through websites that help you decide. And if you're still undecided, she meets with you in person to help you with that decision-making process. So it's a big list.
It's like college concierge.
She is. She is everything. I tell you, she is service.
It was quite a list this summer, that's for sure.
It was, and you know, it's surprising. Sometimes people will go, "I didn't know my child took a college class," or "My child didn't take a college class. Can you have your child call me back?"
You'd be surprised at how many parents, and especially the concurrent ones, the dual ones, the ones that they're doing in the high school, the parents don't know. They don't know, that they've signed up. Most of the time, if you're coming out to the college, the parents know you're gone one night a week, and where are you at? And
where were you on Tuesday?
Right, and they have to sign off usually for those as well, but not the concurrent ones. So, and those
the
classes,
curriculum guidebook, they're listed as concurrent enrollment at MCC, but sometimes I think the registration process happens so fast that maybe parents don't get the opportunity to sit down and actually look through what that means.
Exactly. And they do so many changes the first few weeks of school that if they do end up in that class and we're registering them, they don't know either. So that's where those are elective. Typically, the classes at the high school are elective hours. And this is our first year to do some gen eds. But even those can help a student get, 7 credits in this case with that girl that I had called. 7 credits that would help her. I know she's not going into that field anymore, but 7 elective hours that are paid for. You're going to wherever, University of Iowa, and now you have 7 credits to eliminate off of that total that you've taken. So that's a good deal.
And then this will be my 9th year at the high school, and in 9 years I've had students leave with 3, 6, 9 credits, and I've had 2 students that I can recall finish their AA degrees while they were in high school.
Right.
So there's a huge range of, and that's a lot.
And our conversations are always, we want you to be a high school student.
Right.
Enjoy
that
school.
time,
play sports, go to prom. I worry sometimes about those students who work at getting their degree so hard that maybe they missed a lot. I don't want them to regret that. I don't want them to look back and go, was I in high school?
A student like Hailey who's taking one here or there, that's because she's taking high-level classes at the high school. She's in sports. She's got a part-time job. So part of choosing a class for her was a class that she was going to enjoy, but also manipulating her schedule so that we could make it work. To have her be at the high school and take what she needed, but be back for practice.
Right.
Be done for a job or whatever it might be. That plays into the course selection too, is just when it's offered. I don't know if U.S. history was your first choice of a class, but
you'll love it. He will definitely make it interesting. And what, I took some of those things at Ohio State, and literally with some of those history professors, you have to go and blow the dust off of them. You don't have to blow the dust off of Kaufman, I'll tell you that.
One of my first choices.
Yeah, he's a little bit crazy.
He'll keep you awake, that's right.
And some of what this concurrent enrollment and what we haven't even touched on yet, it introduces some students to college level coursework. Some students don't think that they're college material, that they can even do it. And that's part of what I love about it, is not just here at MCC, throughout the state. Like our academy students might even be an example.
Exactly. Yeah,
where they don't even think college is on the radar. I'm not going. I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to go to school anymore. I hate school. And sadly, some of the parents have bought into that too, that my kid ain't going to school kind of mentality. And it introduces them to college in a different way, that it is just simply, all we are meant to do is to prepare you to work, whatever that work is, whatever that work looks like. Maybe you want to be a teacher. Well, work looks like this, and that prep looks like this. Well, maybe what you want to work at is being a welder, or maybe what you want to work at is production agriculture. The training looks different, and maybe it's not such a bitter pill to swallow.
Right.
Maybe it can be fun. Well, we had Elmer in here in our office the other day. Elmer is one of our former students. We love him. He's moved our office numerous times. That's why we love him.
Spinner.
Well, he went to Iowa State. He's bright as can be. He transferred from us to Iowa State. He comes in and he's playing with my iPad. Did you know it can do this? Did you know it can do this? Do you know you still have all your apps on? Do you know that drains your battery? You should be shutting these off. Did you know if you double click this and you do this? And I said, Elmer, he transferred into engineering and he doesn't like that. I said, did you know you could do this for a living? Well, that'd be kind of cool. Do you know your job could be kind of cool? Did you know that's okay? Come on, Elmer, do this for a living. He's brilliant.
On the other side,
that's the whole point.
On the other side of that too, if I go into a freshman classroom or even a sophomore classroom and ask how many of them are going to college, most of them will raise their hand at that point. They're all going. And they're all going to mention a 4-year university. Lots of them want to go out of state. They have these big, but they don't know what they want to do. They don't know what they want to be when they grow up yet, but they have these big aspirations of going to college. So the other thing that this does is it allows them to sort of dabble in it a little bit, you know, and
maybe
see, and figure out either what they want to do, or, you know, maybe MCC is a great fit for me right out of high school.
Let's
and
help
then
you
on to that
afford
4 year of school, or help them pay for it and that kind of thing. So it's a win-win.
I'm all about not having debt. That's my new thing. Let's help them not have debt. Paying that debt off stinks.
I've even said to students who come in and say, I want to graduate a year early, or I want to graduate a semester early. My next question for them is always, what's your plan when you graduate early? What are you going to do in January? I don't know, work or go to school. You know, they want out of the high school situation. Yeah, for whatever reason. It could be any reason. And so then I explained to them, well, you know, if you stay at the high school and take, you know, 1 or 2 classes, finish your PE or finish your English requirement, then you could go to the college the rest of the day and maybe take 3 or 4 classes and not pay a cent of the tuition. And that just has to be something that I think is kind of the best kept secret, that they just don't know, that somebody has to present to them. But we've probably kept a lot of students at the high school an extra semester or an extra year because of that.
When I first started,
why would you go pay your own bill if you could do it here?
They've come in with that whole, no, I'm graduating early. Have you talked to your counselor yet? And I see that a lot now.
Great opportunity for them.
Well, we want to talk a little bit about the transition, I guess, from the senior year plus, kind of what is the process for you? What do you do with them when that's done? Kind of what should they do?
Their paperwork process, you mean? Perfect conversation, because that has been a big, especially with the campus situation right now. We're all spread around, so bookstores on one end of campus, registration on the other, and then they also have to see their counselor. So I know that they're probably thinking, why all this movement? But it's just the paperwork. A couple things to keep in mind: the paperwork that Karey signs, or Ms. Hawkins signs for you, is actually approving that you can take the class. She will never sign it unless your parents or yourself has signed it. That front signature is basically saying, I agree to take this class and be successful in it. If I'm not, then I will have to repay the school back the money that they've paid for me, the tuition and the book. So that will bring up a subject of the book here in just a few minutes. But what that means is you do have, for the post-secondary enrollment option, which is the courses that they come out and take with us, you have 2 weeks to decide, is this a class for me or is it not? Did I make a right decision? So from that first day of class, you have 2 full weeks to make that decision. If it does not feel like it's going to be a class you're going to be successful in, you can then withdraw from the class and you will owe nothing. But please return the book, because the book is a big issue. what I'm going to say is basically that book, if you have not returned it, and it's not because you're doing it intentionally, but sometimes that book gets kind of hidden in the back seat of or the trunk of your car and you forget about it. But if the book is not returned when you do withdraw from the class and you choose to try to re-enroll with us again in a future semester in another class, you will not be allowed to because you still owe the cost of that book. And they're pretty strict with that. Our bookstore bill is like,
that's his thing.
He's like on top of that.
That's the one thing that he doesn't get upset about many things,
right.
But that darn book that didn't come back on a PSEO class.
And because he can't resell it, that's one of those things. If within that semester he cannot sell it again.
That's where we lose money on PSEO is the book. Right.
So then getting that paperwork signed from the high school, you can come in and see us, register for the class, but you're going to get a bill. If you don't have that paperwork signed from the high school, you will then still get a bill. Once you get it signed, you'll get a new bill. So I know that you're going to get tons of paperwork, but you'll get a new bill. On that bill at the bottom, it should have the word or the letters PSEO. If the letters say PSEO and the balance is 0, you will then know that that's the correct bill to take to the bookstore to pick up a book.
That's your voucher.
That's basically the voucher. They need to see that you have no cost to the class and the book shouldn't be charged to you. So at that point, you're ready. And as of this week, this week, you can pick up books with those PSEO forms or with the receipts.
That 2-week drop period is only for PSEO students.
Right.
Somebody in Annabilia's office the other day had formerly been a PSEO student, and she said, "No, I have that 2-week window to drop, right?" No. That's special for PSEO students. That's special
just for the PSEO
and
students.
We call it like the high school freakout period because they forget that they're in tennis, or they forget that, oh shoot, I have to go out to the college and I can't get there and back and get to class. That's why we give you that 2-week window. That's special, just for you, just for high school students. So bring back that book and you can drop. It never existed. It was just oops. And that's special for high school students.
Right.
On the topic of drops, it's important if they decide to drop in that 2-week time. Sometimes they'll come in and tell me, but they never tell the college.
Or they have that conversation in their head.
Right.
Or they talk to the teacher, and the teacher doesn't drop you either. So
and then at the end, they end up getting a failing grade for the class. It's like, well, you have to go out and drop. They have to realize that they're enrolled in 2 different places, and they have to take care of adding and dropping at both places.
Right.
Both high school
and that's part of that whole, I mean, the reason you're doing this is not only to kind of get ahead in your college classes, but it helps you become a little more responsible with your own decisions. Because if you leave high school and go to the universities,
they don't care, just so you know.
They're not going to handhold as much as probably we do.
I don't know any of the people by first name there, so I can't call and, and call in any special favors.
Right. Right.
There's a lot of ways this is a bridge. Yeah. This is a transition.
Completely.
Lots of ways. There's lots of students who call us back and say, "It's not like MCC here." Like, we know. And a lot of times people tell us we are too nice because we make that next step harder. But
right.
Sorry.
But you're right. The drop has to make sure that you speak to, even if you're talking to your instructor that you need to drop the class, or to out at the high school, make sure that you let somebody at the college know, and it's an official withdrawal, not just decided not to go anymore. It's an official withdrawal. And then we will take it off that transcript. Within the 2 weeks it's taken off, but after that it's going to be listed as a W, which is basically a withdrawal. It's better than failing the class.
An F.
Right.
That way your financial aid in the future isn't affected. That W is easy to explain.
Right.
It's okay. That W is okay. And even if you owe the $250, it's still a cheap lesson.
Right. It's better than having that F on there.
Yeah.
The F is harder to remove, I guess. So it's not the best choice.
So that they take the course is over, they've graduated, then what? And kind of maybe a little quick campus cruiser.
Right, and this is for concurrent students as well, but PSEO students, when we issue you the bill, you should receive a little flyer that has all the information about how to access your campus cruiser academic profile, our website information basically. If you don't receive that, call us. We'll help you get that information, or send you out a new packet or something. But it's basically, you have to have access to Campus Cruiser which you can get to from the our main website, which is www.eicc.edu. Chad put that underneath there for us. It's
oh, Chad!
He's awesome.
Oh my gosh!
So from our main website, and there's another.
Did you see how uptown we are? Did you see that? Paula Sands, watch out.
On that website, then you have access to our catalog. You can look at all our different programs. But the main, not the main reason, but underneath the large picture on the left-hand side, there's a word that says Campus Cruiser. If you click on that, that will take you to the Campus Cruiser website. That is where there is a login. And Hailey, have you accessed this before?
Oh, Hailey.
So thank you.
Oh, that was so unplanned and unscripted. Unplanned.
So if you access that, your login ID and your password is something that we issue you. So once you've enrolled, we issue that to you. Once you go in there, there's an eBridge tab. And I know that this is going to get lengthy, so call us if you have questions. But the eBridge tab, underneath eBridge, you are then underneath a student profile. On the left-hand side, you should have access to your academic profile. And what is in there is your midterm grades, your final grades, your request to transcript. So basically, when you finish classes with us and you know you're going to go somewhere else, you're going to transfer to another school, you need to go back into that website, click on that link, and fill out that form. It's one of those fillable forms where you just enter the information of where you want your transcript sent, and it should send it for you. I tell people always check with that school that you had it sent to, give it a couple weeks, call them, ask them, did you receive our transcript or my transcript? And it should be complete when they say yes. If not, call us back and say, I've requested online, could you help me do this again? Or
I think there's a place that either says send it now or send it.
Correct. You can do it. You can do it.
Semester.
Yeah, at the end of each class, or at the end of each semester, at the end of the term that you plan on being here. You have different options as to when you can have it sent. So that's a, yeah, that's another piece of it. Am I missing something?
I think that's good.
Yeah. So make sure you access your Campus Cruiser. You can look at your class schedule, and you can also access past classes that you've taken. So you're looking at your unofficial transcript. And those students who are taking concurrent and the high schools don't even know that it's out there, even though when I go into your classrooms, I give that to you. But if you don't know it's out there, it's good for you to look back at that. That's where that list comes from of students that say, I didn't know I was even in a class. And you want to see what grades you got. I tell people to check those grades right away, because sometimes entering grades in eBridge can be kind of tricky, and instructors can make mistakes, and those lines don't always look like you're, or it looks like you're on the same line, and you may not be, and you may have gotten you may have gotten a different grade than what you thought you were supposed to get. So double check it. If not, call us and we will help you work that out.
That's the other thing about the size of our institutions. It just takes a phone call to fix mistakes, and you know, we do it all the time, don't we? We'll make it right. We'll fix it. Parents may be watching, and we hear it all the time. We didn't know this was available. Nobody ever told us this. We didn't know our child could have been doing this. How often do we have our little meetings, girls?
Well, I know myself personally, I'm in the classrooms at least twice a year talking to everybody. Then there's the individual meetings with students. I always talk about post-secondary. Junior college planning night is usually in April. You have a whole 15 or 20 minute segment for post-secondary. It's listed in our school newsletter. All the forms to sign up are on both the high school website and the guidance website.
It's in the book.
It's in the book. It's available. I don't know what else to say. It's there.
We don't know what else to say.
My phone will probably ring off the hook when I get back.
Yeah.
After this airs the first time, but.
Annabilia, our meetings for parents.
Orientation.
We were at the parent-teacher nights. The meetings that were here, we do what, 2 or 3?
Twice a year. We do twice a year on our campus in the fall and the spring, and then we try to get to the high schools as well. So.
And when you guys are at the high school once a month, it's always in the announcements that parents can have emailed home to them.
And we mail to everyone who is currently enrolled. So we do, it's called an orientation. So it's not for perspectives. We're not fishing. We are informing parents of what their student is doing. So every student who was currently enrolled, their parent, or they got a letter inviting their parents to either come here or to come to one of the high schools to a meeting. So it was basically like this. It was just this conversation about what is concurrent enrollment, what is senior year plus, what are the rules, who's invited, who can enroll, so that parents could be aware of what their children were doing. So so you know, every single student got that letter.
Right.
So, and we do that every semester.
Right. And then we're working on the one for the fall already, so it'll be out there. But yeah, if there's, hopefully this show will
It's not the best kept secret.
Right.
We try to let people know it, you know, and I guess you don't hear information until you want to hear it.
Right, right.
So
a lot of it's by word of mouth, those that are new. I mean, they may have heard it in the classroom, but the students don't always go home and tell you everything that they've heard in classes. And if it's in their first or second hour of the day, they don't remember half the stuff that they did from
the other thing that happens sometimes is, you know, at the high school, we're planning their schedule in January or February for the next fall.
Right.
And, you know, some of the parents that are really eager will come in, they'll say, we want to get that MCC class picked out, we want to fit in. Well, there's not an MCC schedule yet.
Right.
So when you start hearing announcements that Kate and Annabelle are going to be here, you know, I always tell them mid-April for the fall and usually mid-November for the spring. Then we can choose the MCC class and do just like we did with Hailey's and try and manipulate it into the Muscatine schedule. And I think sometimes it just kind of goes by the wayside. Then they forget that was an option.
Right?
Yeah.
And we were there. We tried to get there at least twice. We were there twice a week right before school was out. And I just think high school students, and maybe we are all guilty of that, we can only think of one thing at a time. And I think they were thinking about, it's the end of the year,
summer
we have
vacation,
finals, we need to get out of here. And I think we will see another blip when you guys start on the 18th.
Right,
and we
we'll
don't
start
start till the 29th. I think we'll see a whole, I haven't ran the numbers, have you?
I started back to work yesterday full time, and I've probably signed a dozen at least in the last 2 days. So
here we go.
So there they start coming, yeah.
And we, our person in the business office is Kathy Kurriger, so I haven't gone into Kathy's office and pulled those and looked through them yet to see who is actually enrolled and who we'll have to clean up. So.
And it's not too late. Parents always ask our students, what's the last day that I can enroll? The first day of classes is when it's too late. The problem now might just be that the class that you choose or at the time that you want might be full. I mean, that would be the only reason that you couldn't take the class.
And our classes start this fall, August 29th. So.
And we should say, anybody who's thinking about this right now and is thinking, oh, I don't have time to get in to see Karey yet. Right now is when you should be doing Compass assessment. If you have not done that and you don't have ACT scores, right now, Kathy Trozen is scheduling tests right now. So 563-288-6056 is Kathy Trozen's number in the testing center. So you need to get your Compass test done. Have that score with you when you see either Annabelle or myself, and then see Mrs. Hawkins. So
at least hold a spot in the class. We can always withdraw you before the classes start, but at least hold your spot if you have an interest in a class and you've tested in Compass and you know you can get into it. Now it's getting approved by the high school to make sure that they'll pay for it, but hold a spot in your class would be great.
We're filling.
And registration advising is in Strand Hall on campus. Strand Hall, room 43 is registration for anybody who's gone into Karey and signed their registration. They're not needing to go to the business office right now. We're having kind of a little bit of some time to get Kathy in the business office up to speed on that. But the registrations can happen in our registration office, which is room 43 of Strand Hall.
So there you go, in a nutshell. Hailey, did you have more you wanted to tell people? Classes were good. It wasn't too scary. We're all pretty nice out here.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Are you going to take more in the spring, you think?
I might. I haven't decided yet.
Is your history, you said it was during the day. Is it first thing in the morning?
Yeah, it's at 9:20.
Okay.
Oh,
So
that's perfect.
It's going to be a perfect morning
Yeah, because
class.
2 days a week then you sleep until what time? What time do you have to be at the high school then on?
I think 4 hours.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
11 o'clock.
Oh my gosh.
That is.
Oh, to be a senior.
Well, not only that, some of our college classes, our students get pretty good schedules, not having to be here early.
Yeah.
You can really, but again, you have to register early to do that, but they get some pretty good schedules.
Have you seen our new apartments?
Oh, wow.
It's looking pretty good to be here, Hallie, I'm just saying. Looking pretty uptown, like a little private school, not too far from home.
They are nice.
It's all pretty good. The villas are looking good.
I have to give her a tour after this.
Yeah. We'll get Peggy over here. Well, ladies, any other things you wanted to add?
I don't think so.
We'll make you a star.
Right?
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of Fuel Your Mind TV. Stay tuned. We have a lot more coming this season. So grab your cup and fuel your mind.